whatever you do, stick and move. Stick and move. Don't stand in front of that man. Do not stand in front of my man.
I don't know how much confidence that Jake Paul have in all this, but you know he's gonna be a lot quicker. And if he stay close to Mike,
How about Jake? What do you think of Jake?
Clown. Would you look at it as a joke if your team was like, yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul? Would you be like, come on, man?
I laugh at him.
Did you ever do a fight like that?
I feel as though in my career I can't do that right now.
Stephen A. Smith unleashed a fiery tirade against Gervonta Tank Davis on live TV, declaring he should be ashamed. With his trademark intensity, Smith ripped into Davis for stepping into the ring with YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul, calling it more spectacle than sport. He branded the clash a circus and an insult to boxing, accusing Tank of trading integrity for hype. Known for controversy, Smith made it clear this fight shouldn't be celebrated, it should be condemned.
Steven, I wanted you to come on the show to tell me that you think I'm a great boxer.
I think you're a damn good boxer with a lot of potential. And I got one problem with you, and I told you this already. You are skilled. You cannot be going in the ring beating up on dudes that you know don't box. You can't have a basketball player, UFC fighters. No, they strike. They don't box. There's a difference. They're not on your level.
As we all know, as a competitive sport boxing fan, this is nonsense. It doesn't make any sense for the sport, for Tank as a world champion fighting Jake Paul, as Jake Paul trying to become a world champion fighting Tank. None of that makes sense. Business-wise, this thing's gonna blow up. So let's see about the business of this thing. Let's see what the narrative is for this fight. Because again, I think Jake's gonna come in there and try to knock Tank Davis out. If Tank's not taking him seriously, believe it or not, that potentially could happen. And I'll explain why. The breakdown, let's go.
Smith emphasized the glaring size and pedigree gap, pointing out that Jake Paul usually fights at over 200 pounds, while Tank competes at 135. He questioned whether such spectacles damage boxing's reputation, warning that these crossover events risk turning the sport into a sideshow. Smith also weighed in on Tank's controversial majority draw with Lamont Roach in March. While others criticized Davis, Smith defended him, praising his championship poise and his immediate willingness to accept a rematch as proof of confidence and dominance at the top level.
Hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane. It's hard to me believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
Gervonta Davis might be every bit as box office as Maverick himself. As exciting, as electric, because this dude performs every time out, y'all. Wherever Davis goes, wherever he fights, fans justifiably follow. He's that special. And Davis is without a doubt one of the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. Don't you even doubt it.
Smith went as far as placing Davis among the top 3 fighters in the world, praising his power, skill, and knockout ability. Tank is a world champion and an elite talent, while Jake Paul remains a YouTuber and newcomer from the entertainment world. For a proven champion to fight such an inexperienced opponent, Smith argued, risks damaging Tank's reputation. That's why he said Davis should be ashamed of this matchup.
The world to recognize it. This is one of the top 5 fighters on the planet. He might be top 3. Yeah. You can make a legitimate argument for him being 3, 1, or whatever. Frank Martin, props to him, came into the fight 18-0, 12 knockouts. Clearly did not have the power to keep Gervonta Davis from stalking him from opening tap. That's what he did. He stalked him and stalked him and stalked him, okay? Frank Martin caught him with some good shots. Gervonta Davis kept coming. So he can punch, he's a knockout artist. He can box, he's not given enough credit for it, okay? He closes, he finishes. Once he smells blood, he's like a shark in blood-infested waters, Molly. He will finish you, okay? And by the way, he is an elite boxer. And so the time has come for the...
Smith also blasted the trend of mismatched exhibition bouts, including Paul's planned fight with Mike Tyson. He said the idea disgusted him, calling it another blatant mismatch. While admitting Jake brings attention and promotional flair, Smith insisted that true credibility can only come from fighting legitimate, current competition, not retired stars or celebrities.
Jake Paul is a professional. At some point in time, I don't give a damn if it's a light heavyweight. Better be a Bivol, a super middleweight, Canelo, Mexican Monster, David Benavidez, somebody that actually has a reputation. The time has come for Jake Paul to step into the ring with a cat who actually boxes for a living and give us that fight. I appreciate the fact of him promoting. I appreciate him having the cachet as a former YouTuber turned boxer. I like Jake Paul. I respect Jake Paul. I'm just saying, because I like him and because I respect him, I want to see him in the ring. And I don't want to hear, I know his numbers are better, but then he's going to say, I don't need Canelo, Canelo needs me. Well, wait a minute. It ain't just about popularity, bro.
After Davis called out Jake following the Tyson fight, Paul lightened the mood with humor. At the post-fight presser, he teased Davis about his height, jokingly comparing it to weight class rules and asking if there should be height restrictions too. It was a playful dig that underscored the size difference while keeping the promotional moment entertaining.
Right. Jake Paul responds to Gervonta Tank Davis call out and absolutely takes the moment and the opportunity to clown Gervonta Tank Davis's height in the sport of boxing. And he says here, is there a height limit in the sport of boxing? This is where Jake Paul says, and his team, Gervonta Tank Davis needs me. We don't need Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's listen here.
Gervonta Davis just posted that he would beat the brakes off of you if you guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like, I'll be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit?
Rolando Romero believes Davis versus Paul on Netflix will be a massive draw, especially among younger US fans. He compared it to Canelo versus Crawford, which he sees as more meaningful for Mexican and Latin American audiences. In his view, both fights expand boxing's reach, but Paul versus Davis will grab more attention in the States, especially with viewers under 20.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him. Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them. It's the same way Roach feels Tank is the best option for him. Same way that Stevenson thinks Tank's the best option for him, or like all that stuff, right? At the end of it, bro, we just want to do what's best for ourselves, right?
Facts.
Right or wrong?
Facts.
So just do what's best for you.
All of a sudden, we want to know who will win in this fight, Jake Paul or Tank Davis. It's a legit question, and I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win, because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. That weight class is for a reason.
Davis
that weight class is for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30 pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out. because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30 pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson sent a sharp warning to Tank. He called Davis's interest in an exhibition with Jake Paul disrespectful to the sport. Stevenson argued that if Tank truly wanted to prove credibility, he'd fight real contenders like him. Confident he's the best in the division, Stevenson challenged Davis to show it in the ring.
Didn't say you got your eye on Tank. What do you think about the rumors of Tank and Jake fight right now?
Man, Tank disrespectful to the sport if he choose that over fighting with me. I'm the best fighter in the sport. I've been telling him that. He called cap on it. So if he gonna call cap and say I'm not who I say I am, come prove it. You know, you fighting pay-per-view knocking these dudes out. That don't take away the fact that I can beat this dude. That dude get to feeling himself and feeling like he's something that he's not. And to the world, he look like a killer, but I can't wait. I'm gonna expose him. I'm gonna expose him. I promise you, I'm gonna expose him. What? I'm gonna be the person that exposes him. I'm gonna be the person that he going there, he not gonna knock out. He not gonna hurt. He gotta go 12 rounds with somebody and somebody gonna be beating him. He ain't gonna like that shit. That shit gonna mess with his heart. That shit gonna fuck with his head. Watch.
Tank's longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, sees things differently. He told Stephen A. Smith that the only person who can beat Davis is Tank himself. No opponent has ever pushed him to his true limits. Ford insisted that Davis hasn't even shown his full greatness yet and that his job is to bring out even more of Tank's ability.
Who do you want to see? You, as a guy that's in his training, that's like a father figure to him, you're training him all the time, you know him, both y'all from the streets of Baltimore the whole bit. Who do you want to see Tank fight?
I want him to get all of them that ran their mouth.
Give me the names. I need names, Calvin. I need names.
You already know. We went down, we're working on the big four. It was Garcia, that's the first one. Roma, I hope we get him soon. Shakur, he's going to get it. He knows he's going to get it. It's just Bob is in charge of that. You know what I'm saying? Bob know what he's doing over there. You can't tell Bob how to run his game because he's like a vet at this. He's been doing it for so many years. That's going to happen. All the fights that we'll want, they have no choice. They're going to take the fight when it's time to take the fight. It's just right now, who's going to take the fight? That's the question.
Teddy Atlas called Tank the most complete fighter at lightweight, praising his power, counterpunching, footwork, patience, and ring IQ. He said Davis has every tool needed to dismantle an opponent: pressure, timing, adaptability, and intelligence, not just knockout power. In Atlas's view, Tank is unmatched across all technical aspects.
One final thing I'm going to throw at you. The news: Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Now, here on this podcast a few weeks ago, we talked about the possibility of Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. And that one got me a little excited and gave a lot of credit to Paul if it was going to happen, because he wouldn't have all the advantages that we've been accustomed to seeing him have, right? He wouldn't be the taller, the longer, the younger fighter in a lot of cases that he has.
And he'd be in with a real boxer, a real world champion boxer. That the only other time he was in, for the fans to get mad with that, was against Fury's Tommy Fury, but it wasn't that level, obviously, and all the size things you just rightfully pointed out. But he would have been in there with, it seemed crazy. You're going to go in there with a guy who was a two-time heavyweight champ and a gold medalist? Wow. Even though the guy's, at a twilight part of his career, still.
And you've given a lot of credit and props to Jake Paul on this show of helping get more eyeballs to the sport, but the way he takes it serious and goes about his approach and his work to this craft, that he does take it seriously. With that being said, when he announces Tank Davis, I'm getting tired of these gimmick fights and him loading the deck up. Whether it was Chavez Jr. or an old Mike Tyson, or we could go on and on with some of the UFC guys and the great Anderson Silva at 46 years of age. Tank Davis, great fighter, current fighter, world champion. We know how good he is. Been a top 10 pound for pound guy for you for the last few years now. But he's 5'5" and 135 pounds. This sounds like it would be 195 pound.
The Toe to Toe podcast broke down the Paul versus Davis fight and delivered one blunt takeaway: no top boxer would ever refuse such a fight. The money is simply too good. Analysts Gary Logan and David Adelia pointed out how financial upside often outweighs legacy, even for elite fighters. Despite expectations of a Lamont Roach rematch, Davis chose the pay-per-view spectacle. Daymore added that while the fight will capture attention, it risks overshadowing true competition, a clear case of entertainment over sporting merit.
This is James Duxon for Round 8 Boxing. Delighted to join with Jamie Moore. Jamie, how are you, mate?
I'm alright, thanks. You?
Stuff, yeah, very good, thank you, mate. Let's get straight into the big news that came out today. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not. Exhibition in November, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis. What do you make of it?
I haven't seen that. I'm trying my best to stay off social media, to be honest with you. I'm not succeeding that well, but while I was away on holiday, I've been my phone off for 2 weeks, and I enjoyed the break from it, and it's slowly creeping back. I'm trying to stay away from the light, but yeah, I've not seen that. So interesting. He's so much bigger than Gervonta, like so much bigger. So I don't know how much of an exhibition it'll be, but because I'm assuming if and when he lands on Gervonta, he ain't going to take it well. I'm sure he's going to set about him. So that should be interesting, just for the fact of the size difference, to be honest.
I mean, a lot of people are already saying Tank's going to knock him out. You know, he's world champion, but at 135 pounds, Jake weighed over 200 pounds in his last fight. Just how much of a factor is that fight, regardless of how much of a novice Jake Paul is?
Yeah, listen, there's weight divisions for a reason, and you know, when I think it was Logan Paul who fought Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition, and he had moments where he had success, literally just because of the size of him.
Former heavyweight Eddie Chambers issued a warning to Jake Paul, stressing that Tank would be unlike any opponent he's faced. He highlighted Davis's speed, power, and IQ, saying Jake's past fights against aging athletes and novices won't prepare him for Tank's ferocity. Many critics agree, calling the fight a greedy, cartoonish sideshow, more about social media clicks than sport. They argue it's a sad step backward for boxing tradition.
Keep it solid with you, I'm not a fan of this matchup at all. You got Gervonta Davis, who's been eating county jail spreads for the last month and a half, and he didn't look good in his last fight against Roach, where he had a draw, but most people felt like he got his ass tapped, so he needs the money. Then you got Jake Paul, who gets to beat on a nigga a whole foot shorter than him and 100 pounds lighter than him. And I think this is just nasty work. This screams money grab. And you know what? The fans lose in the end on this one. Netflix wins, Jake Paul wins, and Tank wins. We lose. Nasty work.
New fans are left wondering what boxing truly values when such mismatched fights headline events. Instead of showcasing skill, the spectacle leans on entertainment. Critics slam the massive weight difference, Paul at 200 pounds versus Tank at 135, branding it a weight bully mismatch and likening it to WWE. Some see it as a disgrace. Others, like Andre Berto, admit Tank just doesn't care about purists and is chasing the money. In his words, I ain't mad at him.
He should beat Jake Paul, shouldn't he?
No, he shouldn't.
You don't think? Sorry. So, I thought we were all unanimous here. Do you think that Do you think Jake Paul beats Gervonta Davis?
70 pounds is 70 pounds.
Gervonta Davis is very small. 5'5".
It's tiny, bro.
That's
what I'm saying.
Jake Paul,
he's a little man.
If Jake Paul's tucking up,
move on,
and absorbing punishment for walking forward, then look, there's a way.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates. Until next time.